A little Canadian bouillon for lemonade. Ah, how you doing, dude?
Good.
How about we do 1 lemonade and 2 peaches for $3 Canadian?
From your peach tree?
Oh my God. This is how you bring the customers in. All right, we got him. Woo!
Grandma!
I'm just gonna work here now. I work here now. I'm his employee. Okay, we're in Maine. That's where I grew up. It's my favorite place in the world, with my favorite mom in the world. Mama Dukes. Hi, babes. Yeah, this is it. This is the nest.
Paradise.
Paradise. My brother and I, when we were kids, orange hair. Classic phase. Elle's house is where I got my inspiration. It's all these little moments and memories, and they're everywhere. It just feels like home. A little bean water.
Thank you.
Bean water for the team. Kudos to you, Elle. It's just like you've made it so coming home is relaxing. There's no like need to do a thing at any one time. Like there's no schedule. We have fun.
We're lucky that way.
Really lucky that way.
I feel a little guilty that Mac's building a home right next door because every person my age who has children are like, oh, I wish my son would.
Yeah, but if you sucked, he wouldn't want to live next door to you. Watching this community, I'd say it's kind of like blossoming, you know?
Yes, and it's blossoming of young people. Like when your dad and I came here, we were the young people.
Right.
Or everybody all around us was older people. Guess what?
Right.
I have a little bit of a, early settler feeling. I'm like, turn your radio down.
Yeah, but how cool that like everyone gets to enjoy it, and
It is cool.
it's just such a vibe. There's not an abundance of jobs, so it's like you have to kind of build and create and find work in some creative-ish manner, and you're gonna like use the want to be here to kind of fuel creating a business for yourself or a lifestyle for yourself. And who we're going to see today, he's done that. And it ties like beautifully into like craft and surfing and what this area in Maine is all about. We're gonna meet up with Mike and hand build a wooden surfboard. Working with wood, learning about some sanding techniques, using a planer, spoke shave. And then at the end of the day, we'll have a board that I'm gonna take back home and hopefully get some waves with. You know, the steps to it feel like, where do you start? But I'm excited to kind of like see the process, and the learning will skyrocket into oblivion. Yes.
What's up,
Hi,
dude?
buddy boy.
How you doing?
Oh, it's so good to see you.
How you been?
Good, very good.
Good,
I'm happy
welcome
to
to
be here.
Maine.
It's good to be home. Spent a nice morning with Elle,
Amazing.
sewing and hearing stories.
Looking out at the pond.
Yeah.
Nice.
Been swimming so much.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Water's warm.
You ready to learn about surfboards?
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I think we landed Mike to make this kind of long fish, the shearwater, I think.
You know, fishes have a long history. These shapes have been around since what, the 70s. They're generally kind of a shorter board with a lot of volume.
Yeah.
You know, this is a long fish, which these guys have gotten pretty popular over the last 10 years. We've really developed our process around basic traditional hand tools.
It's usually the simple things that are the most useful.
First, all the materials have to be made. So mill up the wood. That's just material prep.
Northern white cedar, specifically grown here in Maine. Light, rot resistant, beautiful.
Wow, that's epic. One becomes two. It's like the opposite of that Spice Girls song.
We'll use a CNC machine to cut the frame.
This is your whole inside of your board. We're gonna turn this from one dimension into three-dimensional. Pop them out.
Nailed it. Not on my watch, son. Oh!
First, we're gonna make our bottom planks.
This is kind of like the foundation of the board.
This is like essentially the exoskeleton.
Let the natural beauty of the wood speak for itself.
I feel lucky that I got to find wood that spoke to me.
Better to kind of cut everything big and then trim it as we get closer.
Surfboard. It's gonna be really friggin' cool. Yeah, use this booty.
Assemble your frame.
Centerpiece, the keel, and then we've got a bunch of ribs that slot in here like a model airplane.
Incredibly satisfying. More of a boat building technique.
Then we'll get our sidewalls on as well.
This is what gives the board structure.
The frame really defines everything about the board, from rocker to bottom contours to outline.
We got the frame glued down.
Yeah.
Now we've got to put your tail blocks down. This is going to define the tail shape of the board.
Glue on the cork rails.
So we're going to add an inch on each side. Cork is just a great material. Look how easily you can bend it.
Put it on the top. We're gonna have to steam bend that. We have to bend a little bit more across the curve.
All right, here we go, Mike.
Sick, dude.
So now we're in the shaping phase. So phase three or
Three or
four.
four.
So we're gonna use all the sweet hand tools, the block planes, the spoke shaves. So we're gonna create our series of bevels.
Yeah, it is really nice that you kind of have the like existing flow of the surfboard.
Right.
Because that part of shaping a foam board, not that I've done it much, but I've watched it happen. It's like that is such an intimidating step in that process.
Yeah. When you're creating a board like this, if this was a foam board, you'd kind of shape in any bottom contours. But
Yeah.
with our construction, like they're kind of designed into the frame.
You can always accentuate them as well, but we only have that 1/4 inch of
Yeah,
wood,
exactly.
so there's not infinite.
The board kind of from here in is solid material.
Yeah.
So that's basically kind of what you're focused on working on. So to start out, you're using a block plane, you know, one of these two different block planes for most of the work on the wood. And then as you start to get into kind of like the mixed material where it's cork and wood, you're going to
Right.
switch to this guy, which kind of acts like a block plane, but it cuts through the cork and the wood really nicely.
Thanks, dude.
All right, have fun.
Yeah.
Don't go through the planks.
You're keeping it nice and fair, making the fun little spring curls. We're gonna keep adding angles, make it infinite, make it a curve. Try a new tool. Same idea. This is now the spoke shave. Just shorter, more control this way. Easier to roll with the curve. Now we're on the cork. We're gonna swap that for the rasp. Go up and down the rail, just lightly.
Let's just dust this.
To really get it kind of ready for glass, you're just gonna sand it out. Put some weight on it too.
It's way less intimidating than I thought it was gonna be.
This is what you beautifully smoothed out to 120 grit.
The wood gives it the structure, not the fiberglass. That's a hack, the pinch and snip. This is stressful. Hearing about it in surfing, it's like,
We're only gonna put on one layer of this fiberglass. We don't need as much strength in the glass.
you need like a therapy session after glassing.
Now we're gonna fill it in, make it all smooth. We're gonna use a brush this time instead of a squeegee. Put that final sanding coat on, getting it ready for the ocean.
That's the best step. You don't get that same feeling with foam. Reward of the effort just is like, we did it, that was wild. Long journey to the most beautiful surfboard in the world. 3, 2, 1. For me, growing up here, it was like we had been surfing a bit, you know, it was kind of like took over our lives. We had our little crew, and then I feel like I remember watching Nick kind of roll into town in this like jacked up van, and he had like cool camera, which I'd never seen before. That piece of like the Levecchias just kind of like came into the scene. And what was the trajectory from moving to then making wooden surfboards and deciding to be here?
Nick and a lot of our old snowboard friends got into surfing before I did. I kind of got into it through all of them. We used to come down to the coast and, you know, do some camping trips and got into surfing. And as most people do, like once you start, you get kind of hooked on it, and it kind of changes the direction of your life, I guess. One of our friends said, hey, there's this house for rent in York. You know, you should go look at it. It was an old carriage house. So you walked in and it just had this incredible history. Let's rent it for the summer and probably go back to Vermont, you know, but we never went back.
Was that where you made the first board?
Yeah.
You come in with this kind of whimsical, like, this guy's like gonna start making wooden surfboards like in York.
I've been into boats my whole life. Since I was little, I loved to sail and have owned a lot of boats, and a lot of them were wood. Eventually got my captain's license and started like a little charter business. I started thinking about building a surfboard in Vermont when we were building the schooner, because we were using cedar from Maine. It was such a great material, and I was like, shit, this would make a great surfboard. The initial idea was like, how do we build surfboards using local material and build them specifically for different zones? So here you might have a cedar surfboard that's good for soft, slower waves, where like in Northern California, you'd use redwood and build them for point breaks. Started looking into like the history of surfboards and construction and how things evolved over 1,000 years. Wooden surfboards had this like long, slow evolution. In like the 20s and 30s, this guy, Tom Blake, became like a world-renowned swimmer and moved to Hawaii, got to know Duke, who's like the original surfer. He started thinking about, okay, these boards weigh 200 pounds. They're impossible to carry, and if you lose one, you know, you get hit by it, you're dead. How do we build a surfboard that's lighter, easier to surf, more usable? So he developed kind of the first hollow wood surfboard. His boards went from 200 pounds to 80 pounds, which made a huge difference. It was kind of like the beginning of the surf industry. And then foam and chemicals, polyester resins and fiberglass, all those things kind of came out, and foam became the natural choice for making surfboards because it was much less expensive. That history of wood boards just died. But he was onto something, and our idea kind of from day one was like, how do we pick up where Tom Blake left off? Take everything that has happened in the last 40 years and start over again from the 30s.
Was it always in your head to like start Grain? Was Grain a thing where you're like, I'm just gonna make a wooden surfboard for myself to surf?
Every time we built a board, we'd like walk it down to the surf shop just to show people. We'd just go sit on the bench and everyone come over and check it out. And of course they were terrible back then. There was never an idea of starting a business or like the 5-year growth plan. There's no real end game in this. I kind of always take the like Thoreauvian approach of like looking at things. The idea was always like, how can you build just a nice life? Looking forward to coming into work every day, having a crew of people that you want to spend the day with, and then keeping them employed.
The second you walk into the shop, it's just like, it's built on like heart and care and kindness and like this community. It is much more than the surfboards. When these things exist and people get to like rub into them and feel happy and learn something and then maybe go surfing. Without Grain, York wouldn't feel as much like York now. The Maine beach scene is like no other.
We surf down the road and like if there's 30 people out, you know 25 of them. A 3-hour surf is really like 45 minutes of surfing and 2 hours of socializing. If what you're trying to do is create a better surfboard, why wouldn't you want that to go as far as it can? Put it out there and share it. We're taking design concepts from somebody 100 years ago, pass it along.
I think when you spend time here, it grabs you and it pulls you in, and it's pulled in an amazing community of people doing amazing things. We got to make a wooden surfboard, but like the board is just such a fraction of why it's so special here. It's like all on this common thread of like living a really simple life where you have time to enjoy the things around you. There's nothing better. This is it. My plan is to make L a butcher block cutting board. So it's gonna be cutting the strips, gluing up, clamping everything. That's a clamp. Take the top of the cutting board and then do these weirdly placed circles in it that you could put maybe some hummus, some salsa, dips, rips, maybe some olives. And that's kind of pulling in, gluing up wood, carving the wood here, sanding. I'll knock off the edges so we have like a nice beveled edge. And then we'll have this really weird kind of abstract cutting board for L. I think if I was gonna make L a boogie sluice, it would look like this. Maybe I'll put a little fishtail in it, looks like a pair of pants. And then L would be just on here, and she's just boogies. That's huge. It's like, this would be like a giant. It's gonna be smaller than this, and L would be bigger. It's either gonna be one of these two items, but probably a cutting board. She does like a boogie board. As we've learned, could take me 2 years. Yeah, the boogie sluice kit coming soon to Grain. Boogie sluicer is kind of sweet. Boogie sluicer.